was in the skies over Jerusalem? And why did it stop over one of the most treasured sites in Christianity?
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like
Well, if you surf around online today, and it probably will not be long before you come across footage of a UFO in the skies over Jerusalem. Now it is sparking intense debate on the internet. Trace Gallagher following this live from our West Coast Newsroom. So the question is, what was that UFO? What was it doing over Jerusalem? And, is he back?
Yeah, and that is the question, by the way, Megan, because, critics, it's difficult for them to dismiss this because there are so many different angles. We've got 4 different videos, all from various perspectives, showing this light above the Dome on the Rock. In Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, of course, we know, which is a holy site for both Jews and Muslims. You see the shining ball of light, right? It's above there. It's kind of, well, they just froze it and I really can't see it now. But there it is right there. It's at the top of the screen. Yeah. It's up there and it hovers, kind of a pulsating orb. And then hold on here because this thing starts going down right toward, you see it there, going down toward the Dome of the Rock and the Temple Mount. And then it stops. And it hovers there for a while and kind of sits there, and then all of a sudden it shoots straight back up into the air. Whoa. Now, experts say this would be kind of an indication this is an unmanned... There it is. You saw it right there. It shot straight back up in the air, yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but it shot up in the air, and the experts think that, it's an unmanned vehicle, they believe. It could be a drone, but they do not know of anything like this in the Israeli army. So they say this is either incredible video or some very well orchestrated hoax. Some have said maybe this is a movie that's putting out this I don't know. What do you put out for your movie? A trailer or some kind of a hoax to try and promote a movie that's yet to be named? We don't know. Could be Jacob's Ladder. Remember Jacob's Ladder?
No, I don't watch scary films. They freak me out.
Well, no, the biblical thing where Jacob's Ladder, was the Jews and the Christians believe Jacob's Ladder, who he saw in a dream, leads from the Temple Mount steps.
I thought that was a thriller that went very scary.
That's what one of the producers said. Yeah. I saw that movie. No, I'm talking about the biblical reference.
All right, because listen, I don't like to be scared. I just can't take it. It's I don't know what it is, but I don't like anything with torture, and I don't like to be scared. So that video, that doesn't make me feel either of those things. So we're okay. TG, thank you.
We're going to follow up on it. You bet.
What do you guys think? What was that? I mean, it's one thing if it just comes down, but then it goes back up. Kelly at FoxNews.com. By the way, so far, you are not very forgiving of Christina Aguilera. People think if you're going to sing the national anthem, get the words right. Still taking your emails. Well, if everyone in Washington...
Dr. David Jacob, an associate professor of history at Temple University, specializing in 20th century American history and culture, has also studied the UFO and abduction phenomenon for over 40 years. In an interview with L.A. Marzulli in the book Alien Interviews, Jacobs comments on the alien abduction phenomenon, stating, quote, "This is a phenomenon that is either psychological or it is happening. There is very little in the middle. I have learned that the abduction phenomenon is vast, global, and it occurs with great frequency," end quote. Whitley Strieber, in his classic account of an alien encounter in the book Communion, records his experience with these entities, stating, quote, "I became entirely given over to extreme dread. The fear was so powerful that it seemed to make my personality become evaporate. Whitley ceased to exist. What was left was a body in a state of raw fear so great that it swept about me like a thick, suffocating curtain, turning paralysis into a condition that seemed close to death. I died and a wild animal appeared in my place," end quote. Then, in a later release in a book entitled Transformation, The Breakthrough, he dives deeper into the experience, stating, quote, "Increasingly, I felt as if I were entering a struggle that might even be more than life and death. It might be a struggle for my soul, my essence, or whatever part of me might have reference to the eternal. There are worse things than death, I suspected. So far, the word demon has never been spoken among the scientists and doctors who are working with me. Alone at night, I worried about the legendary cunning of demons. At the very least, I was going stark, raving mad," end quote. Then later in the same book, he states, quote, "I felt an absolutely indescribable sense of menace. It was hell on earth to be there in the presence of these entities, and yet I couldn't move, couldn't cry out, couldn't get away. I lay as still as death, suffering inner agonies. Whatever was there seemed so monstrously ugly, so filthy and dark and sinister. Of course they were demons. They had to be, and they were here and I couldn't get away." End quote. According to many researchers in the field, and even the people who have directly experienced this phenomenon for themselves, all seem to agree that there is a spiritual element driving this phenomenon. It is clear that there is a metaphysical nature to the UFOs and the alien abductions themselves. Furthermore, the startling similarities with the phenomenon with the occult and other historical, mythological accounts of direct contact with demonic entities should be alarming. Jack Valet alludes to this concept, stating, quote, "The symbolic display seen by the abductees is identical to the type of initiation ritual or astral voyage that is embedded in the occult traditions of every culture. The structure of abduction stories is identical to that of occult initiation rituals. The UFO beings of today belong to the same class of manifestation as the occult entities that were described in centuries past." End quote. There is another angle to this phenomenon that is seldom discussed, but is very important to point out. That is the solution to help stop those who experience the alien abduction phenomenon. Joe Jordan, state-sanctioned director and field investigator for MUFON, through his investigation at CE4 Research Group, has discovered that calling upon the name of Jesus Christ during the abduction can make the experience stop instantly. On their website, ce4research.com, the mission statement states, quote, "The mission of CE4 Research Group is to share with the world the most powerful evidence known that exposes the alien entities for who they really are. The evidence is in the testimony of those who have overcome the experience, the oppression, the bondage, the harassment, the control, the lies, the deception that these entities perpetuate by calling out in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. Through this evidence of these testimonies, we will be able to help others. The world asks for this evidence, and we will give it to them." End quote.
Had even jaded New Yorkers scratching their heads. A mysterious, silver, shiny object, or objects, it seems, floating in the sky yesterday. You can see all the people have stopped in the street there in their tracks looking at it. Some folks say they saw lights. Others were maybe waiting for little green men to arrive.
It says Centerville, a buzz tonight, a bright blue light spotted moving in the sky.
And here's what you captured, this bright, fiery light moving across the sky.
Some surveyors say they found what can only be described as the wreckage of a crashed spaceship.
That's getting real bright. Stacey Gibson can't tell you what she captured on home video, but she can tell you she's never seen anything like that.
You got to see it for yourself. These residents saw the lights hovering in the sky about Monday night.
A North Canton couple is trying to figure out what it was that they saw in the sky over their home just a few days ago. Mysterious, unexplained, orange-colored objects.
Karen, they tell us that they saw lights, but those lights were not from an airplane or a helicopter, and these lights dropped something as they hung low over the sky. Mike was in the Air Force and says the lights hovering in the sky were unlike any he had seen.
Um objeto luminoso foi visto no céu pelos moradores que, espantados, ligaram para a polícia.
Siete las esferas que lograron verse en el centro de Lima, en lugares como el de la Avenida España.
Maybe it's a comet. Could be. It could be. Maybe these are our last moments. It could be.
Here comes another one.
What?
What?
every single night, and I've never seen anything in the sky at that same location or at the same height. I've never seen those sort of lights.
So it turns out that if aliens ever show up here on Earth, little green men might be the least of our problems. A new study indicates that instead, they'll probably be more like super intelligent dinosaurs, as smart and as cunning as humans. As one scientist put it, we would be better off not meeting them. Sleep tight.
Mysterious lights hovering in the skies across several parts of the country. This video is from Indianapolis of a strange formation that appeared this week. Now, people in Metro Detroit say they've seen something just like it. Last night, our newsroom and our Facebook page got several reports of strange lights in the skies over Metro Detroit. And tonight, Fox News' Ron Savage is on a mission to find out what they really are. Ron.
You know how we operate here. We do stories on talkers, and this is a talker. Everybody's talking about it. What are the lights in the sky? Mysterious lights in the sky. Many Metro Detroiters have been wondering, what am I seeing?
It wasn't quite as high as you would see. I've been watching the airplanes tonight, and it wasn't quite as high as them. And I mean, like I said, you could actually see the triangle shape of the object.
David Levy was outside Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. with friends in Flat Rock, and suddenly
we were outside, and up in the sky we saw a triangle-shaped light with, or a triangle-shaped object with about 5 lights flashing, heading north.
Who saw it first, a friend, or did
I did, yes.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I asked people, what do you think that is? And everybody was like, I don't know. And then later on at night, I found out that people had been seeing this object all over.
In fact, our Fox 2 Facebook page has been blowing up with hundreds of posts, people seeing lights like Lisa. She writes, I seen some in Southgate, but thought it was fireworks and weird for January. Nick writes, I assumed they were planes. They were flying in the same direction. I watched them for about 10 minutes, and I counted 4 or 5 of them. I'm over in St. Clair Shores. Mario writes, I seen it in East Point, off 9 Mile. It was something crazy. And Sean writes, I was the one who called into the Fox 2 newsroom and first broke this story. They were black, triangle-shaped objects making circles over West Bloomfield and Farmington Hills. There was no noise, and they had bright lights. I'm not making this up, and I know somebody else saw these things. These lights are all over YouTube. The original poster says they were shot in Miami this week. And these lights were said to be shot in Indianapolis. Is this similar to what David saw in Flat Rock?
This kind of looks like it's staying in one spot, but that's exactly what it looked like, except there was 5 of them.
5 lights.
5 lights.
William Konkoleski of the Michigan Mutual UFO Network has also been taking calls from people who see lights at night all across Metro Detroit.
It's very possible that people are seeing military aircraft that they haven't notified us about yet, like the spy planes or also the stealth aircraft that have been flying on our skies now for a few years. It's well known that they were testing these aircraft well before they notified people that they even existed. Now, on top of all that, we have unmanned drones up in the sky, and those things really look strange, especially for somebody that has no idea what they could even be.
And certainly some people may be skeptical when they hear that somebody's reporting lights in the sky, but perhaps there is a logical explanation for some of these light displays. They've been reported all over the country and all around the calendar, all year round. It doesn't seem to be a particular time of the year when they're reported more so than others. And across Michigan and Metro Detroit, we're getting reports, and our Facebook page has been blowing up, as you know, recently, Huel, with a lot of people reporting these lights.
Ron, for years, the Air Force conducted an investigation of so-called UFOs. They found no official proof. Any word from the feds tonight about those strange lights?
Well, you wonder if the military's involved, as one of our UFO experts was curious there and mentioned. We did put some calls into Selfridge, the FAA. We didn't get any reaction. Could be a logical explanation for some of these light displays. I'll tell you this, there's no full moon right now, but we're getting an awful lot of reports of lights in the sky. Huel?
Certainly not a weather balloon, Ron. All right, thank you.
That's right.
Well, now we're going to turn our attention toward the skies, specifically to some strange lights that some of your neighbors out near the Eagle Ford Shale oil fields say they've seen. Reporter David Sears with our ABC affiliate in San Antonio takes a closer look.
You've got three distinct lights.
Pictures from oil rig security cameras.
It's hovering above us.
Videos from oil rig workers. And eyewitness accounts from ranchers.
Somewhere out there, there's something.
Are we alone? It seems like UFO sightings are occurring more frequently over the Eagle Ford Shale. Some can be explained.
It looked to the world like some sort of a craft sitting there.
But after Mutual UFO Network investigators got a closer look,
they have determined that it's not a craft at all.
Turned out it was some sort of vehicle. But then some sightings are unexplained.
About 10% of them, those are the ones that'll make your eyes roll round and round in your head, and we can't figure it out.
They started blinking, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It was like bing, 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 bing.
Penny Farrell and her husband Jerry saw those lights just above the horizon from the back porch of their South Texas ranch last November. No pictures, just memories.
All at once, they went back over here to this tree, but they were a little higher.
After several minutes of back and forth and blinking, they took off.
And when it shot up into the heavens, it was just like a blink of an eye, and boom, it was up there.
We scanned the big South Texas star-filled sky. We didn't see any flashing or darting lights, but just because we didn't see it tonight doesn't necessarily mean it's not out there.
If you were here and saw it like we saw it, sat here and marveled over what was happening up there in the sky, then you'd say, that's a UFO.
Along the Eagle Ford Shale in South Texas, David Sears, KSAT 12 News.
You decide.
Well, lights up in the sky aren't really that unusual around the new year.
However, some Cleveland residents say they saw something more than your typical firework display. Eyewitness News reporter Katie McCall joins us live with the story, all new at 6. Katie?
Gina, a Cleveland woman who says she has never before spotted a UFO swears that she saw one hovering in the trees right over US 59. Now, a UFO investigator is looking into whether this was a plane, a helicopter, or something from out of this world.
Just there, like, this.
On December 30th, Lauren Harris was on Highway 59 in Cleveland when a brightly lit cylinder hovering in the sky caused her to pull over.
Strange, like the lights were pulsating on it and it would disappear for a few seconds and it would reappear in the same spot. And then we noticed too that it wasn't moving at all. So we're like, no, that can't be an airplane, and what would a helicopter be doing this late at night over the woods? I think it was a UFO.
The nursing student says she tried to document the encounter.
I had my phone up like this and I tried taking a picture of it, and then I put it back down and it was gone.
But never expected to be taken seriously. To her surprise, Fletcher Gray from MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, is investigating.
I have verified over 345 cases.
Gray looks into reports of extraterrestrial vehicles, alien encounters, and aircraft modeled after alien vehicles not acknowledged by the government.
This was verified by 2 independent witnesses. This is a UFO because we don't know if it belongs extraterrestrial or if it's one of our own. Here's a lady that supposedly had a transplant where she'd been abducted. These ETs or extraterrestrials are moving from one star system to the next.
Gray believes a Cleveland police officer saw the same thing Harris did, and he's trying to obtain dash cam video. He's also looking into this reported sighting in Houston. His message to UFO observers, don't be afraid to speak up.
Always contact MUFON and to make their reporting sightings as long as they're credible.
The police chief in Cleveland tells me he is not aware of any such sighting or dash cam video within the department. Gray says that is very common in his line of work and it will not stop his investigation. We're live in Cleveland. Katie McCall, 13 Eyewitness News.
So we would like to know what you think about this investigation. Log on to our Facebook page and join the conversation. And if you saw one of those unexplained lights, well, why don't you share your photos with Eyewitness Reports? Just email them to news@abc13.com.
2 years ago, from my research, I'm convinced it's much more serious than that. It's more than a loose-knit network. It is a conspiracy. In 1784, a copy of this document was sent to the Illuminist Weishaupt and delegated to foment the French Revolution. Mean the Illuminati was responsible for the French Revolution? Yes, absolutely. The courier was struck dead by lightning as he rode through Ratisbon on his way from Frankfurt to Paris. What about a little divine intervention there, huh? The police found the subversive documents on his body and turned them over to the proper government authorities. After careful study of the plot, the Bavarian government ordered the police to raid Weishaupt's newly organized lodges of the Grand Orient and the homes of some of the most influential associates, including the castle of Baron Bassen-Sonderdorf. Additional evidence was thus obtained, convinced the authorities that documents were a genuine copy of a conspiracy by which the Synagogue of Satan had controlled the Illuminati at the top, planned to use wars and revolutions to bring about the establishment of one kind or another of a one-world government, the powers of which they intended to usurp as soon as it was established. In 1785, the Bavarian government outlawed the Illuminati and closed the lodges of the Grand Orient. In 1786, they published the details of the conspiracy.
The new order of the world, our enterprise is now a success. He said these blind slaves say they are free and highly educated, even as they march behind, notice this word, signs. Have you ever taken time to analyze a sign or a billboard or a logo?
We'll start up here. In 1784, an act of God placed the Bavarian government in possession of evidence which proved the existence of the continuing Luciferian conspiracy. This explains the previous 9 pages, goes into it in detail. We don't have time to do it completely. Conspiracy. Adam Weishaupt, a Jesuit-trained professor of canon law, defected from Christianity and embraced the Luciferian ideology while teaching at Ingolstadt University. In 1770, the money lenders who had recently organized the House of Rothschild retained him to revise and modernize the age-old protocols designed to give the Synagogue of Satan ultimate world domination so they can impose the Luciferian ideology upon what remains of the human race after the final social cataclysm by use of satanic despotism. Weishaupt completed his task on May the 1st, 1776. It's a communist holiday, isn't it? May 1, 1776. The plan required the destruction of all existing governments and religions. In 1776, Weishaupt organized the Illuminati to put the plot into execution. The word Illuminati is derived from Lucifer and means holders of the light. Weishaupt's revised plan required his Illuminati to do the following things to help them accomplish their purpose. 1, use monetary and sex bribery to obtain control of people already occupying positions in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of human endeavor. Once an influential person had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail and threats of financial ruin, public exposure, and physical harm, and even death to themselves and their loved ones. Number 12, told those present that they must use their wealth to have candidates chosen to public office who would be obedient to their demands and would be used as pawns in the game by the men behind the scenes. The advisors will have been bred, reared, and trained from childhood to rule the affairs of the world. Number 13, control the press. Number 16, infiltrate into the secret Freemasonry to be used for their purposes. That's been documented many times. Number 17, expound the value of systematic deception, use high-sounding slogans and phrases, and advocate lavish promises to the masses, even though they cannot be kept.
I will not forget the wound to our country and those who inflicted it. I will not yield. I will not rest. I will not relent in waging this struggle for freedom and security for the American people. So I don't know where he is, nor do, I just don't spend that much time on him. We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail. Terror is bigger than one person.
And I remember he was telling me how you're going to see soldiers looking in caves for people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these places, and there's going to be this war on terror, of which there's no real enemy.
Who knows if he's hiding in some cave or not? We hadn't heard from him in a long time.
Operation Northwoods, the plan called for innocent people to be shot on American streets. This is the Pentagon. For boats carrying refugees fleeing Cuba to be sunk on the high seas. For a wave of violent terrorism to be launched in Washington, D.C., Miami, and elsewhere. People would be framed for bombings they did not commit. Planes would be hijacked using phony evidence, all of which would be blamed on Castro to justify an invasion of Cuba 40 years ago. An aircraft at Elgin Air Force Base would be painted and numbered as an exact duplicate for a civil registered aircraft belonging to a CIA proprietary organization in the Miami area. At a designate time, the duplicate would be substituted for the actual civil aircraft and would be loaded with selected passengers, all boarded under carefully prepared aliases. The actual registered aircraft would be converted into a drone, remote-controlled plane, their word for it. Takeoff times of the drone aircraft and the actual aircraft would be scheduled to allow a rendezvous south of Florida.
I mean, he's been tested unlike any other president. This 9/11. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be.
He argued that the use of any and all means to reach their final goal was justified on the grounds that the ruler who governed by the moral code was not a skilled politician because he left himself vulnerable and is in unsuitable position to his throne. He said those who wish to rule must have recourse to cunning and to make-believe because great national qualities like frankness and honesty are vices in politics.
Fellow citizens will meet violence with patient justice, assured of the rightness of our cause, and confident of the victories to come. In all that lies before us, may God grant us wisdom, and may He watch over the United States of America.
Union Banking Corporation was liquidated by the U.S. government, and Prescott Bush received $1.5 million for his holdings in his Nazi business, and that was the beginning of the Bush family fortune for all intents and purposes. George Bush takes his inspiration from what he learned in Skull and Bones and from the Thule Society that Hitler and Goebbels and Goring cut their teeth in, Bohemian Grove, these evil organizations that perpetrate the ugly things that these criminals are doing to this country for which they must be held accountable.
They are the most violent, dirtiest people on the face of the earth. Somewhere Americans are going to have to take their country back and start finding out who are these people. Who are these people we call our representatives, the Bushes. George Bush, the president, his father, went around the country talking about a new world order. The people who are running this country from behind the scenes do not care a thing about Americans or bloodshed anywhere.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
Sir. Were you a member of Skull and Bones in college in Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
That's all right. Let me answer his question.
Whoa, don't chase me. I can't do anything.
And what you're looking at here, staggeringly, is a group of people, some of the most famous people in America, in long gowns. Behind them there, you see a 40-foot stone owl. And there's the fire between them, next to the lake at Bohemian Grove. Now, one might wonder, understandably, why the people that run the banking, political, economic system and the media in America should be dressed in long robes doing a ceremony to a 40-foot stone owl. I think we should be told.
No doubt you'll be hearing about all the differences between John Kerry and George W. Bush. But we've discovered they do have something in common. During their respective college days at Yale, they both belonged to a group called Skull and Bones.
He's come pretty close. She was part of a team that successfully recorded part of the initiation ceremony that takes place in the tomb's courtyard.
Okay, you have the doorway here.
Yeah.
Okay, then to the right you have a hedge, and then you have an evergreen tree. If you follow that line straight back, courtyard's in there.
Ah, okay.
So
that's where they have the ceremonies in
the outdoor part of it. Part of it was indoors. So we only got to see the outdoor part.
Right.
We only got to, and to listen to the outdoor part. God only knows what went on indoors.
And what did you hear? What was it you know? You managed to get this unique
It was
access to it.
disgusting. It was gross. I mean, they were pretending to murder people. And
What was the tone of it, though? Was it jokey or was it quite...
No, it wasn't jokey at all. It was sick. It's about the only way to describe it. It was sick.
What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. It has never been broadcast before. 15 new members of the club are being introduced into the macabre rituals of Skull and Bones by the senior students who are about to graduate. The club has what some might see as a strange fascination with death, skulls and bones, There's the chants too, difficult to hear first of all, but including the devil equals death, death equals death.
But when you get into a secret society of spirit worshippers, then, and especially when you're invited there by the direction of the higher-ups in the spirit world, you never get out of there alive. And he told us, he says, look, we worship spirits. We worship Lucifer and all his angels. They're just as beautiful as they did before they were cast out of heaven. He says there was a misunderstanding in the whole thing. He said among the inhabitants of the galaxies. And he says our master was misunderstood. And they always praise the great master, Satan, as a super intelligent being that he is, beautiful to behold. And if he ever appears to you, you won't be able to look upon him because it'll be too bright.
What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games.
Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Edgar Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America. Privacy is one of the Grove's most cherished virtues. Members may not photograph, record, speak, or write about activities at the retreat. While many public officials are Grove members, the press is a distinctly unwelcome guest.
We're from ABC News.
Well, get back there. Get back there.
Can we talk to somebody in the...
Get back there.
You see, for over 120-plus years in Northern California, in Sonoma County, on a 2,700-acre secluded redwood grove, leaders from around the world, prime ministers, chancellors, presidents, governors, again, the heads of industry, banking, academia, the media, Hollywood, travel there to engage in bizarre, ancient Canaanite, Luciferian, Babylon mystery religion ceremonies. We were inside 4 hours. That's only one day out of the 2 weeks that they meet there for the admitted Summer Fire Festival of the Bohemian Club.
When will you learn that me ye cannot slay? Year after year ye burn me in this grove, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. But when again ye turn your faces to the marketplace, do ye not find me waiting as of old? Fools! Fools! Fools to dream ye conquer care!
Nay, thou mocking spirit, it is not all a dream. We know thou waitest for us, year after year within this happy grove. Our fellowship bans thee for a space. Thy malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we
shall read the sign. Midsummer sets us free. You shall burn me once again. Now believe, way, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire. Hail fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
The Bohemian Club, as you say, the Bohemian Club, that's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
One last question. I read a Washington Times article many years ago where you had a comment about the organization, and then now it's been in the Wall Street Journal, it's been in a lot of different newspapers, and that's the Bohemian Grove. And back in, what was it, 1996, when you joined as a Clinton advisor, the Republicans were criticizing you, oh, what about Bohemian Grove? And then you countered them by saying, hey, I don't run around in the woods naked. What did that mean? Here is the before-mentioned Washington Times article where he said, I didn't run around naked like they do.
I don't know what quote you're referring to. I'm not aware of any quote like that. Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there, and it's really inappropriate for me to talk about the group beyond that. Thank you.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000. I'm the guy that blew it wide open and got the video. It's been on national TV.
Well, I disrespect you for that.
You do?
I do.
But there's a lot of big public officials going in there. Don't we deserve to know?
I don't know anything about you, and I don't know anything about your film. But if you go in there with an understanding, you violated that understanding by releasing that film, and I don't respect you for that.
Really? But we have public officials.
I'm sorry. You took an understanding when you went in there that you would not do that film. And did you have an understanding when you went in there?
No.
Did you crash it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it has no trespassing signs there too, doesn't it?
No, they put them up after.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry, sir. I've been there before. I know what the circumstances are, and I'm sorry you violated the understandings. That was not a gentlemanly thing to do.
But what about the ritual? Is the ritual genuinely?
Sir, everything. I don't owe you this comment.
I know.
This is what's called ambush journalism, and I disrespect you for that as well. So thank you and goodbye.
Been in the ritual?
It's none of your damn business.
Wow. Prince of all mortal wisdom, owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I told you.
Today our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature.
They had exactly the same agenda, and that was for bringing in this New World Order. I heard George Bush talking at that time. He was talking to Bill Clinton, and I've since photographically recorded it and wrote it verbatim in our book. that when the American people became disillusioned with Republicans leading them into the New World Order, that Bill Clinton, as a Democrat, was going to be put into the office of president. This was decided in 1984. Actually, I'd heard about it even prior to that. But that, as of 1984, they were already discussing it as an absolute fact.
The CIA is carrying out mind control on countless numbers of unwitting American victims. And he even went so far as to say the basic methods that they use in this mind control: hypnosis, drugs, and torture.
Three parts policy that they had adopted there. The second one was to find a way of being able to get total control of people's minds. And that would be done by taking hypnotism out of the realm of the occult and introduce it as a new science for the benefit of mankind.
Reflecting a policy of genocide either against the Tibetan people themselves or against their culture.
Once I realized I had met an honest, genuine, high-level Freemason who told me there were 13 levels of Freemason above the 33rd degree, and that these people were God. There was no God, they were God. So I asked them about their plans to kill people, and they said, yes, there are too many people on the planet. We need to get rid of several billion. And war doesn't seem to work, so we're going to use disease and starvation.
He knew what was happening, and he attempted to warn us when he left office. He told us, quite bluntly and in no uncertain terms, to beware of the military-industrial complex. And who is the military-industrial complex? It is the members of the Council on Foreign Relations, and since the inception of the Trilateral Commission as well.
I'm not, the Council on Foreign Relations, I don't know if I'm an official member. I've spoken there before. It basically is just a forum where a bunch of people talk about foreign policy.
Was made up of the Executive Committee of the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, it is extremely significant that you understand that the first 6 members from the government, along with President Eisenhower, were also members and longtime members of the Council on Foreign Relations. They believed in that organization. They believed in its goals, which was one world government.
Number 15, create industrial depression and financial panic, unemployment, hunger, shortage of food, use this to control the masses or the mobs, and use the mobs to wipe out all those who dare to stand in the way. Well, I'll tell you right now, every expert I've talked to is talking about food shortage. And it's coming, I'm convinced.
What were they? Because I'd never seen anything like that. And his statement was that if he told me, I would be one of few people in Madison, Georgia that knew about them. And he says they're disposable coffins. They were stacked, he told me, 15 high.
È di Cristo, è di Cristo, è di Cristo. Ecco, ecco.